Hey guys, Majo up here, and today we're going to be adding in a projectile. So I want my player to shoot a projectile in game. So how can we do that? Well, I gotta make a new class, and we're gonna call it bullet, because I'm creative, and it's going to be a game object. So it's going to extend game object. Let's add implemented methods. We got our object here, so public bullet. Now, when we create a bullet, I want to tell it what direction it's going, and we're gonna just have cardinal directions, because I mean I couldn't have it so like you shoot towards where your cursor is, but we're just gonna make it simple, and you're gonna shoot with the arrow keys. So we'll just make it, we'll make it simple, nice and simple, right? So I'm just gonna make it an integer as our direction, and so we're gonna have like 0 be up, 1 be right, 2 be down, 3 be left. Simple as that. Alright, so we have our direction. We're gonna make a private float speed. We set the speed like twice the player, which is the player's 200, so I'll say speed's that. And I also need a private direction. Directions. That direction equals direction. Boom. Alright, so we have that, but we're going to be using our collision, and our collision method requires us to have our tile X and an offset X and offset Y, go to bullet, place it on in, go to player, and I'm going to copy this position, because this position is important. This right here, because this is the same code we're going to be using. Okay, and we also, here in our initializer, we also need the position. We don't need just the direction. We need to know where our player is when we shoot. So let's do float position X and position Y, because I want it to be exactly where our player shoots. Well, we're going to determine in our player exactly where it shoots, but we're going to give it the screen position of where it's shooting. Like, well, not the screen position, but the level position where it's shooting, and then we'll determine where we are from that, because we can do that easily. So that'll be this, that, position X equals position X. Might as well just initialize it, because that's our location. But we need to figure out, okay, where does that mean we are? So that tile X is going to equal position X divided by 16. Well, that's actually not 16. That's game manager. That's yes, because if you ever want to change this, you just change the tile size and everything just changes instantly. It's crazy. So divided by TS, which, oh no, it's a float going into an int, so we'll just cast it as an int. Same thing here for tile Y. And boom. Now, how about our offset? Well, this one, we want the remainder, so I'm going to say position X mod. I'm just going to actually copy and paste this over. Hang on. Paste this over. This should be offset X and offset Y. And instead of dividing, it should just be mod. Right? So if we mod it, we'll get the remainder. But we want it to be in the middle, which the middle is 8. So I'm actually going to subtract 8 from it. Or in our case, this divided by 2. And that should give us the proper offset X, proper offset Y. I don't know why it's coloring like this. It's just going weird. Eclipse is being weird. Alright. So, as we update, I'm going to do switch. And we're going to switch this direction to figure out where are we going. So, if our case 0, so are we heading upwards? We are. I'm going to say offset Y plus equals speed times dt. Case 1, that is left, right. So it's X plus equals speed times dt. Case 2, offset Y minus equals speed times dt. And case 3 is to the left, so it's offset X minus equals speed times dt. And then we gotta break it all. Break. You don't need to break on the last one, but I'm going to break it anyways. So, now we have our direction. Now we got to do the same thing over here, where if we go out of bounds with our X and Y, our bullet moves as well. Okay, simple, simple. Okay, and that is nice. So, let's see what happens here. Actually, if we just leave it like this, what'll happen if I just simply rendered it? So let's just see what happens here. We might not actually need to modify this at all. This might be a very simple episode here. So position X, position Y, of course, and the width and height, I'm gonna make it 4. So it's gonna be 4 by 4, and let's make it red. Oop, too many O's. Red. And of course, cast our positions to integers. Boom. And now we have a bullet, which in theory might work actually, as is. So, but we need to have our player, when we press a direction, add the bullet to our game manager's objects. So how can we do that? Well, we're going to need a method for that. So down here, I'm going to add in a public void add object, which is a game object, and it's simply going to take objects, and it's going to .add object. It's very simple code. Okay, so now we have our object. Go to our player, and after our movement, we're gonna do our entire movement, and then we're gonna see, did you shoot a bullet? So we'll do if. So we'll say down here, shooting. Okay. So if gc.get input that is key down, we'll do is key down. Just for now. We'll do is key in a bit, but I'm gonna do is key down for now. So key event.vk, and our arrows, is it up? Just up? Yeah, it's just up. So if we shoot one up, I'm going to say gm.add new bullet. The direction is 0, and position X and position Y. Right? Is that correct? Actually, I think our bullet, I had it, I reversed it. It's actually 0. So there we go. And I'm going to copy and paste this. For 4 if statements. For up, might as well do it in the order that we have it in. So right is 1, down is 2, and left is 3. So boom. Well, let's see what happens. So we go in game, and hit right. Well, would you look at that little guy? Go zooming around. Okay, so we have a little problem here. He's kind of not where we are at all. He's up and to our left, which is very interesting. That might have to do with our offset, or the tile X might be wrong. I might have to add 1 to our tile X. Go to our bullet here. Our tile X might be this, but we need to add 1. It might just be off by 1 for in both directions. We should get it coming out of our center. So there we go. It was off by 1. So you can see though, it's still kind of off center, and I want it to be more centered. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here to our position, and I'm going to subtract 2 and subtract 2, so that way it's centered. The bullet center is the middle, and there we go. So now we got bullets coming out of us wherever we go, and they go flying around. We don't have any collision. So what I'm going to do here for a simple collision, we're going to do a real simple one real quick. So we're going to move, right? And then after we move, I'm just going to do a test here after the movement. So if gm.get collision of where we currently are we inside of a tile, right? I'm going to say dead, this.dead equals true. If we go inside of a block we're not supposed to be in, delete it. Whoa. I can see problems arising here. So sometimes it thinks we're the tile X and tile Y aren't actually working very well. I don't know where it thinks it is. Um, let's print out this tile X and tile Y. So I'm gonna say tile X. So we should be at tile 6, right? So let's see what it says when we hit left. It says 6, but it instantly breaks. Did I type something in wrong down here? What is up with that? Tile X is 6, which is right, and tile Y, I don't actually know what tile Y this is. So it's 1, 2, it's like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So you got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it should say 9 when we shoot. 10. Oh, it thinks we're one lower than we actually are. So the Y is messed up. See, it says right now it thinks when I shoot, it thinks we're down 1, which is interesting. So if get rid of 1 from here, right? So we're shooting above, but the collision should be working slightly better now. That's interesting. I wonder why when it tries to get the position Y, it thinks it's 1 away. That's interesting. All right. Offset X equals that. Equals negative. We might not need to subtract this. But I feel like that's going to give us the wrong location if we don't. Well, let's just see what happens here. So that looks more correct than what it was. Boom, boom, boom. So we're getting somewhere here, but we're coming from our top right, which doesn't make any sense because it should be coming from our top left. So for some reason our offset X is equal to 16, but position Y is not. If I set this equal to 0, you might have to actually like literally pass in offset X, offset Y for the player in order to get this to be proper. So if I set that equal to 0, it's always 0. Screw it. We're just gonna pass in float offset X, float offset Y, just because it'll make it a little simpler. So we got a player, offset X, offset Y, and we'll just directly set it. Cause I don't know why, but I just feel like that code is just a little off. And by directly passing it in, it won't be off anymore. So this offset X, offset Y. So now when I shoot, okay, it's coming from the correct area, which is top left, right? But I want its center. I want it to think that it's in the middle, right? So I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to move its position down. How can we center it? So like the thing is with our player, the player thinks that its center is its top left. That is 0xFF. So if I get a player actually, and I subtract, right, my width divided by 2, and subtract height divided by 2, it'll move its position. It'll think its center is up here, right? So now it thinks it's up here is where its center is. But that throws off our calculations, right? So if we move our position up, cause problems, lovely problems. So I still want the bullet to come out the middle though. So if we don't do that, okay, so our top left is up here, but when we create a player, we want him to say he's down here. So I'm going to adjust his offset. So I'm going to add 4. Should say GM is divided by 2. I want it to be in the middle. Or I could say width divided by 2. Actually, that'd be probably better. Let's say width. And this is plus height divided by 2. We'll copy this. Paste this. this, paste this, bada bing, bada boom. So actually now, it's coming out of the middle here. And our tile X and tile Y are actually proper now. Which is interesting. So I'm going to get rid of this +1 again, up here for tile X. So we got it coming out of the middle here. Let's get rid of this. Actually, it'd be helpful to make sure that we're still getting the proper numbers. So it set it for a second, and then it's stuck at 9 forever. Interesting. But yes, that is fine. Okay, so we got the bullet coming out of our midsection, right? And it deletes itself because it goes in there. But here's the thing, I want this kind of to be the center of it. So what we actually want is we don't want to negative tile size half to negative half. What I actually want is tile size to 0. By doing that, it should center our bullet and give it proper movement. So now, see how it collides now with the wall? It stops at the wall. It stops at the ground. Up and down are inverted. What? How did I mess up and down? What the? Player. Up. 0. Down. 2. Bullet. Up is subtract. Down is plus. How did I get that wrong? Okay. So now, when I shoot up, the bullet now properly collides. Although the bullet tile X doesn't exactly follow our tile X anymore, which is a problem. See, because we're over here, and it's like, no, I want to be over here. Because it thinks that it shouldn't be there. And I think the reason is because I didn't change this, right? Or is that not the case? So if we go over TS, then we go to 0. And then if we go over, we go down. Yeah, that should be right. So why is it that when we are here, okay, so we're still in the same area, but I just crossed over, it dropped down to 0. It did not transverse with me. And I think that reasoning is because, once again, our position X doesn't really work very well here. I think we need to make this tile X. I tried to make it the cheap way here, and just like, we'll just try and get it from our position. But because we're using a different tile location, it's not transferring over with our tiles. So I need to change it over. And there should be, oops. Copy this. Paste this. Do this. Paste this. What the hell just happened there? Go back to player, because for some reason it just pulled me in the game manager for like no reason. And I'm gonna get rid of this, but I'm actually still gonna initialize PS, position X and position Y. I'm just gonna paste this up here. And now, if I go back to player, I gotta change this to tile X, tile Y, and then copy and paste this over top of these. And now, we should have bullets coming from our middle. There we go, no matter where we are. And now let's, for the grand finale here, I end the video here because it's getting a bit long. Let's change this from a key down to place down with nothing. So now, there is actually a down that we need. So now, when I press it, bzz, I got a little laser. Bzz. And now you can see how it collides with things, right? So it deletes itself when it hits the block. It looks all nice like. Alright, so we can add more things to this. So like when it hits the wall, maybe we want a particle effect. A bunch of like little blocks spew from it. We can add enemies. Whatever you guys want to see. This is the last one I'm going to record for the night. We can get 2 at once. We're not supposed to be able to do all directions at once, but that's an easy fix. But yeah, so yeah guys, leave your comments and suggestions down below. comment, rate, subscribe, and thanks for watching.